into Sidelines. I'm your host, Drew Patrick. On today's episode, we talk women's soccer and their dramatic season opening victory of a 5-0 win against Salem. Plus, we preview the sprint football season with head coach John Evans. Welcome back to Sidelines. Let's talk women's soccer now. As joining me at the desk, we have Madison Reiner and Caitlin Rappel. Thank you both so much for taking the time and stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about this last game. A way to open the season. Of course, last season, having that win on the last game of the year, able to take that momentum into this year. Talk me through that first game to be able to get a decision like that, a 5-0 victory. What does that do for the confidence of your team?
Personally, I feel like after the win last year, going off of that, it kind of boosted our confidence because we had basically everybody come back besides just the two seniors. So we had a lot of confidence after that win last year, and we knew the standards at preseason. So we kind of went off of that win last year. And the game was really exciting because we scored pretty early. So I think that built a lot of momentum. And it was nice because it was a freshman, so she got her confidence. But honestly, for me, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a very, very fun game just to play and see my teammates succeed like that. It was very fun to watch and play.
So let's talk about individually. We'll get to both of you here. Let's start with you, Caitlin. 1 goal, 2 assists, and running all up and down the field through that game. What were some of the keys to your success in this contest?
Personally, I think a lot of it was just communication. I know in the first couple scrimmages between the forwards and the midfielders, there was a couple times where we miscommunicated where I like the balls to be played kind of thing. But I think after the first few minutes of the game, we really got that settled. We knew what balls were working, what balls weren't. And for me, it was just kind of clicking. It just from the beginning, we just kind of had it down. We were passing really well, and it felt really good to be able to check in and receive balls and not just play long, and also play long and not just pass. We had a very diverse game that we were playing, and it just felt good because I wasn't always making long runs, but I wasn't always doing the same run, so it was fun.
And then, Madison, before we get into the moment of it, talk to me about your goal and talk me through that. What did you see that led to that, and then your play overall?
Honestly, the goal, I don't know. I wasn't planning on shooting it, but I decided just to why not take the shot. So I honestly thought it was going over, in all honesty. I just kind of stared and did that go in, or is it what's going on there? But yeah, that was basically it.
The lovely little double doink action there, though. And also, obviously, we have to talk about your journey here. A year ago, trying to figure out how to walk again, and that leading to your first game back after the stroke, being able to score. What has this entire journey really been like for you, every step of the way?
Oh my gosh, it's been very emotional. I just got a memory on my Snapchat story of me squatting with a 12-pound dumbbell and being out of breath. And so to see me doing that and then to where I am today, squatting over 180 pounds, being able to be strong again and to be fit enough to be on the field, it's been very emotional. I know my parents were crying when I scored, and my boyfriend was crying when I scored. It's just been very, very emotional.
And then knowing that your teammate has gone through this, to be able to see her score in that, what did that mean for the rest of the team?
Personally, so obviously, I didn't even meet Maddie until she came and surprised us at a practice last year, after everything had happened. So the first message we had I've ever received from her was hey, like this just happened, like I won't be with you guys in the fall. So obviously we didn't get to connect a lot last year, but I think this year like we've hung out a good bit, and it like just to like be able to like see her like hit new goals from like when I originally first met her, like it's just like kind of amazes me, and I'm assuming a lot with like the rest of the girls in my grade or even younger than me, because like just like meeting her, she was like learning to walk again, and she was squatting dumbbells. Like I would always see it on her story, and like that was like the only thing I knew of her, and like to see her here now, like it just feels so good. Like when she scored, I was literally sitting down and like jumped up because I was just like so excited for her, because like I just know it was a big moment like for her, and I could just feel like for the rest of the team, like it just made everybody like have a huge smile. Like I was so excited. I was literally like, yes,
I watched the feedback and everybody was jumping. I was like, oh my gosh.
It felt very good. Yeah.
So we had actually talked right after the game, and you said you think they celebrated more than you did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's going through your mind? You're getting mobbed. Like, everyone is running at you for it. Through that emotional fact, that you can see the reaction of your team knowing or seeing the journey that you've gone on. What does that mean for you to know that you have your team behind you, you have really the university behind you, but on this journey, every step, to know that you have that support system? What does that mean for you?
It feels so good. Like in the fall, I was alone most of the time with like my parents, and I didn't really get to contact people much because they were going through their preseason, which is always rough, like 3 days, 2-a-days, whatnot. So like I didn't really contact people, and I was kind of alone, and I kind of felt a little alone in the beginning. But like throughout the season, I got more and more people like started contacting me, and especially now, like seeing everybody behind my back, it just feels amazing. Like it feels great.
So going from that emotion to obviously the game and getting the victory, what can you do to take that coming up? Because conference play is a gauntlet for sure, and Bloomsburg is the first opponent. What can you take from that game and really from that emotional high to move into this first game?
I don't know, we talked a little bit about it, obviously not much, but I think we need to take the confidence in. I think last year we lacked a lot of confidence because we were super young. So I feel like now we can't like kind of use that as like an excuse. Like we're pretty experienced. Most of our players have been playing for, a year at least or two. So I feel like we just kind of have to like take what we do have under our belt from last year and use the lessons, like just because we go up one goal doesn't mean that we stop playing, because I know that has happened a lot in the past. So like I think we have a lot of lessons now where we're like, okay, so like in the game on Sunday, like we scored early, we didn't let the momentum drop, and we kept scoring, and I think that has to be like to continue, like because it's only going to get harder from here. Like Bloomsburg is one of our toughest opponents throughout the whole year. So I think we just need to like take the game and just keep building off of each. Like throughout preseason, like we kind of like we saw growth every single day. Like we got better, we got stronger, like faster every single day. We had some sort of improvement, and I think that needs to be like the theme throughout the entire season. Like just because we won one game, like in the beginning of the season, we can't let off like because we won one game. Like it's like it has to continue.
Yeah, and I know watching them like last fall compared to this fall, it just looks completely different. Even from the scrimmages, like our communication on the field is so different. And the way we are able to move the ball now instead of just kicking and running, it's very different.
So, I mean, you talk about that growth, that maturity, that taking the next step. I once had a coach tell me the best thing about freshmen is you become sophomores kind of thing. So what, on that aspect, on the maturity, the communication, the growth kind of thing, what have you seen in that aspect that is really, you hope, going to lead you guys to success this year?
I would honestly say maturity. I feel like last year there were at least 3 games we were up and had either ended up tying or losing in overtime, double overtime, whatever it was. And I think that's where like we need to be like, okay, we're not all freshmen basically. Like that can't happen. And I feel like last year we had a hard time kind of holding ourselves to like standards because we weren't consistent. And I feel like now like we know what we can do from like the end of last year, the spring, and the beginning of this year. Like we know we're better than we were last year. Like we all know that, but like now we have to like keep proving it, because like just because we know it doesn't mean like everybody else is gonna know it kind of thing. So I definitely think like the maturity like levels just have to stay high, like the experience, like all those different things. Like we're not all freshmen, because I mean last year it was like sophomores and freshmen were freshmen.
Yeah.
And like it's not like that anymore. And I feel like we need to like use that in some sort of advantage, because I think a lot of other schools lost a lot of upperclassmen or grad students. We didn't. Like we still have the same people, and we need to like use that to our advantage.
Yeah, and even though they're freshmen, like they came in and they were like strong. They were talented, they were mature, and like them bouncing off of us, I think is something that's really gonna help us move forwards.
So to that point, the fact that even though it's your second year of playing, or first year of, like, you guys are now pretty much the elder, like the captain, the people who are going to dictate for the freshmen what the culture is. So how important and what is that role, and how do you gauge that role in your own development?
I feel like positivity. I feel like last year we let a lot of like negative comments like slip on the field and like at practice, or like we had like days where it was like consistently like we were struggling at practice, and like this year it's like we've addressed it. Like we had a bad practice, we all came together, we were like it needs to be better, and it got better. So I just feel like the positivity and like honestly just like holding people to like standards. Like now we're like we have a team of like talent, and they came in and showed out during preseason. So now we know what everyone's capable of, and now we need to stay at that level. Like we can't let the level drop just because it's not preseason, and we need to earn our like prove the spot. Like you need to earn your spot every single day. And I think we've like established that, because for the most part practice is like it's hard. Like we're going 24/7. Like there's light practices, but like we're still all proving, like working hard, doing our thing. So I think that has been like big for the freshmen, because now they know like this is what we're here to do. Like we want to change the program. This is what it takes.
I agree with that, but like also negativity with yourselves. Like I know Kay says this a lot, but the next play attitude, that is something that's been helping me this season, is always like worry about the next play. Like you mess up one play, whatever, worry about the next play. So I feel like that, bringing that into the culture too, really is going to help us.
And so going back to on the pitch, speaking of the pitch, the fact that you guys start at home and are playing on the grass, what kind of benefit, plus of course Sunday having that crowd that was there was phenomenal, I'm sure you guys feel, but that home field advantage on the grass, being the only team in the East that plays on grass, what does that benefit to you?
Personally, a lot. I would think we are like the only team that has grass when we play. So it is nice, because it takes a while to adjust. I mean, when we go away, it takes a minute to adjust to the turf. So I know like when they come here, it's obviously going to take them a minute to adjust to the grass. And that's when I said like we need to come out hard, because they're still adjusting to things that we're already adjusted to. And that's like something that where the maturity levels come in. Okay, well they're still adjusting, so let's take advantage. And like we already know what the field conditions are. You know, like let's play with it until they're used to it. You know, get like kind of like an upper hand thing going. So I think that is, and the crowd, that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the grass fields definitely. With all like the divots and stuff, we know like how the ball's gonna bounce and like where to be at certain times. So yeah, that's a big advantage for us.
Well, looking forward to this week. I know both of you are too, as conference play gets going. Thank you both so much for taking the time and stopping by.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere.
It's all part of Mother Nature's perfect blend, the keystone of the Keystone State. Visit Potter Tioga, a 2-county scenic outdoor haven conveniently located, yet worlds apart. A place where you can kick back, unwind, and forget about the pressures of life. Disconnect and reconnect with your friends, family, or even yourself while surrounded by nature's beauty. So start planning your adventures today at visitpottertioga.com.
welcome back to Sidelines. Let's continue to talk women's soccer as we have head coach John Schaefer joining me here at the desk. Coach, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me back.
And looking great
I know.
also.
I know.
So let's talk about this past weekend, opening weekend, and a big win for this team. To be able to start a season with a win like that, with a young team that they're looking for that moment, to have that moment right at the start, how does that build the confidence and the experience of this team?
Yeah, real confidence builder. So happy for the women that they, as we talked about last week, they played to our DNA. And for them to see that if they play the way we train, it actually will come to fruition on the pitch and we'll get results. Huge confidence builder for them, confidence builder for the coaching staff, to feel like, we had a productive preseason, 5 separate goal scorers, so a lot of young women scoring and getting assists. So yeah, a real confidence builder going into, one of the toughest schedules in the country.
So as a coach, to be able to see those 5 different goal scorers, to be able to have contributors pretty much throughout that lineup, for you and the confidence and to be able to build more things, what does that do for your aspect of that?
Well, it shows that we're really building a team here, that we're bringing in depth. We're not a one-person team, and so that's great for game planning. Teams can't just mark one young woman. We've shown now that we have people who can score throughout the team. If somebody picks up a knock, we know we have multiple people who can score. So overall, it's just showing our depth. It's showing that it's a real team effort, and makes it hard for other teams to game plan against us.
One of those goal scorers who also had 2 assists on the day, in Caitlin Rappel. What did you see her next step that she has taken this year? What were those things that stood out to you, her in that game, which she played phenomenally?
Yeah, well, we did a bit of a positional shift this year. We moved her from midfield to a true forward because of our depth. We have depth in the midfield now. And she was so aggressive last year running forward out of the midfield that Coach Ozzie and I decided, let's try her up top, get her higher up the pitch where her starting point can be higher, and just make her more aggressive and really say, listen, limit your defensive responsibilities, go score, go create, and that's what she did.
Of the other goal scorers, 2 of them also were the goal scorers from last year as well, Bailey Dockman and Emily Smith. Same question about those 2, their next step in development. What have you seen from those 2?
Yeah, so they're both juniors, but realistically redshirt sophomores because of losing their COVID year. They're going to take 5th years. So really, they're like sophomores. So they've had a year under their belt. They really worked hard in the spring season physically and technically to improve. And now they're really ready to take the next step, and in terms of understanding the game, understanding opportunities, technical ability to take advantage of the chances, right? And we saw that. And
then the freshmen, that you said you were very excited for this class, and they had an excellent showing. Lauren Schraub, the goal scorer, Krula Nipa, who got beat up through that game, played excellently as well forward-wise. You had great defenders. Talk to me about this freshman class, and of course in goal, Sam Merklin.
Yeah, I said it last week on Sidelines. The freshman class is big time, and having throughout the team from goal to Maddie Herb, center back who played 90 minutes, lights out, great distribution. If this was hockey, she would have had some second assists. Olivia Hudson at outside back. TJ came in at center back at the end of the match, so depth there. And then Q Money, is just, dominant in the midfield, all over the place, so athletic, but also technically sound. Kosminski, another one of our stud freshmen, picked up an ankle injury going into the match, and so wasn't able to play. And then, obviously, Lauren up top, dangerous throughout the match, scored a goal first 6 minutes or so, which got us going, created chances. I don't think I'm missing any of the other freshmen, but they were just, they just are not just providing depth, but talent.
And then I can't go without some of the 2 other returners who played excellently. Olivia Bowman, your captain, your senior captain, and Danny Drain at the midfield. Another person who got beat up and dealt with physicality throughout that whole game. What did you see from those 2?
Yeah, I mean, so Liv and Danny, Liv's my captain, Danny's my vice captain, and they both provided great leadership throughout the match, and especially with starting 2 freshmen in the back line, along with a sophomore. For Liv, it was a lot about organization, and we talked a lot about positioning throughout the preseason. Liv's great at going forward, likes to get forward. We want her to do that, but then we need her to get back and not get caught. And I thought positionally, she was phenomenal on Sunday, leadership-wise as well, winning balls out of the air, supporting the back line. And then Danny in midfield provides stability, provides the physicality in the midfield to compete in the PSAC, but also the technical ability to connect passes. And they both brought, leadership, some calmness, but also just tremendous play.
And then, of course, maybe the moment of the year, even though it's been game 1, Madison Reinhardt able to not only play, which in itself is phenomenal after coming back from a stroke and a brain injury, but to be able to score in that game, phenomenal. First of all, your emotions as a coach, dealing with knowing what she dealt with, your emotions throughout that moment.
Man, I hope I don't cry. No, I mean, it's been surreal because last spring was really emotional. Last year in general was really emotional. I mean, for those that don't know, Maddie had a stroke a week before preseason last year, and we were planning for her to come in. And so from her going, not sure what it was going to be, to, all right, she might recover, but physically we don't know, to a year ago from scoring a goal. A year ago Sunday, she was trying to walk. We were celebrating, getting messages from her family that she, was taking 3 steps from her bed, and maybe she would be able to walk, but playing was like if the good Lord came through with a miracle. And then throughout the fall, she recovered, and then she announced she was going to be able to come back in the spring semester, and then she gets cleared for contact in late spring, and she's training. And I don't want to, put cotton around her and protect her, but just her being here is so excellent. And so, I'm like, go out and play, go out and ball. And we haven't really talked a lot about it this fall, but the moment she scored, it hit the women on the bench, it hit the coaching staff. It was like, what a year. What a year. And it's really been a culmination of her hard work, the doctors, and, like she said, I think in her post-game interview, she scores goals. And so, so it's just been, it's what coaching is all about. Wins and losses honestly don't matter to me. It's about seeing young women develop over 4 or 5 years in college as people, as athletes, and, being able to just support Madison and her family through this and see her physically 100%. And doing well in classes, and then she scores a goal. That's just icing on the cake, and that's what the job is about.
I said on the broadcast, I don't know if there's another human being in the country, in the NCAA, who's dealt with a bigger hill to climb and has reached or has moved that mountain, has gotten to that spot, and just a phenomenal moment for her and for you guys as well. So taking all this into consideration, conference play starts this week, and the gauntlet starts this week. What are your kind of expectations, and then what are kind of what the team should take away from this last win?
Yeah, just to piggyback off my answer about Maddie, going forward, the team should take away from it the team spirit. Mm-hmm. The way the team celebrated Madison speaks to the team culture that they're building. And so going into playing Bloom, probably a top 25 or near top 25 team in the country, and then ESU, and then as we go through, again, the gauntlet, what the team should take from Sunday is that team spirit. Mm-hmm. That through the good and the bad and the difficulties and the struggles, stay together as a team. Celebrate the good, learn from the struggles, but it's about being together. And it's about, at the end of it, it's the journey, not the destination. Mm-hmm. Only one team will win the national championship. If it's us, amazing. But even then, the moment you win the national championship, that moment's gone. if the journey to get there wasn't enjoyable, then what's the purpose? And so for me, I want them to go into Bloom tomorrow enjoying it and enjoy the time together. And whatever the result is, enjoy it, enjoy being together, and that joy will lead to better results. So that's what they should take from it.
So that Bloomsburg game that you mentioned, what are going to be kind of the keys for you guys in that game?
We really can't give them anything. We can't make mistakes. They're too good. Nicole Verano, number 21, is coming back off an injury last year. She's a grad student center forward, all PSAC, first team as a junior, I believe, 2 years ago. Phenomenal. If we let a ball bounce in the box, she's going to finish it or someone else will. If we dive in midfield, their midfielders will shoot from distance and be a struggle. So we just can't give them anything. We just need to play really sound. If we play really sound defensively, and if we are brave enough to pass the ball against them when they're pressing us, if we're brave enough to do that, I think we'll make it competitive and we have a chance. But against the best teams in the PSAC, you can't give them opportunities because they're just too good.
And the other thing with these two games coming off of that one, able to play at home, what is that? Talk to me about the home field advantage, to be able to be on the grass field and that advantage, what that means for your team.
Well, first off, a massive thank you to the fans for Sunday. I mean, rocking atmosphere. Fellow student athletes were there. I think it was the football team was there in crop tops, and I know baseball was there and basketball was there. And it was just friends and family. It was rocking. It was rocking. So that, in our small confines, it's just a really cool atmosphere. And so that's huge. And then obviously we're the only team in the PSAC East with grass. And it's in great condition right now, but it is home field advantage. Every other team trains primarily on turf, or at least plays on turf. If they're training on grass, it's not our grass. And so, yeah, it is the friendly confines, you know. And also, we're up here in the Great North. You know, we talk about protecting our house. Teams have to travel to get to us. And so, yeah, we want to take advantage of being at home. And so we have a 3-game home stint to start the season. And we're enjoying not having to travel. And we just want to go out and rock and roll.
Well, Coach, I'm looking forward to this week. I know you are as well.
Thank you.
All right, and Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere.
Pride and passion drives the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. From 55 NCAA championship teams, 294 individual national champs, and counting. Who's next? Make the PSAC yours. PSAC Proud is winning in athletics and in the classroom. Over 3,100 PSAC student athletes are honored as scholar athletes. It's a perfect mix of athletics and academics. It's time to make the PSAC yours.
Welcome back to Sidelines. Let's talk sprint football, and let's preview the sprint football season with head coach John Evans. Coach, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Drew. Glad to be here.
So let's talk. This past week was the first week of preseason practice. What were some of your early takeaways from this group?
Well, I said right away it was the best first day we've ever had since I've been here. A lot of enthusiasm, a lot of numbers, and I think we're off on the right foot.
So last year had a pretty good season and a lot of pieces to build off of, and I guess in the only time I will ever say a blessing of COVID, you have some people with experience who's seniors who have that now extra year of eligibility that you have coming back. How have them coming back really helped the younger guys get acclimated in that first week?
But it's huge. I mean, we've got Kayan Berger, Chase Mosier, Brandon DeJesus, all very experienced, all conference players that are that are proven leaders with us and excited to get things going.
And the other thing that you have back is the reigning MVP of the league in Kasid Raymond. What are some of the things he has to do to really make that next step in his development?
Well, I think right now we've changed a few things, and he's getting used to being under center, which he's never been. So we're debating whether that's going to work or not. We've got some different packages that may include Kasid out in other areas with some Wildcat stuff. He has matured. He's matured into a proven leader for us right now. He's taken charge of calisthenics and the locker room, and I think he's really grown.
So let's talk about some of those newcomers now. Has there been anyone, I know it's really early in practice, but anyone who's really kind of caught your eye?
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about them all in one group. We've got 5 kids from Texas, student athletes that came up here, and every one of them are going to be out on the field somewhere. We've got Corey Foster and Bobby Dell over on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, we've got Audie Mackery and Dalton Barker. They're just great kids out of a successful program in Texas and are very hard workers.
And of course, one of those final Texans that's on the receiving core that has been turning some heads.
Yes, Bo Schellinger, who's another one of the guys that have come in, and they're doing a great job in camp. He's challenging to start at outside receiver right now.
And then the coaching staff, a bit of returners and a couple of newcomers on that staff as well. Who are some key figures on your staff?
Key figures, we return Pat Maddock back, offensive coordinator. We return Tony Pulio, defensive coordinator, and Jason Kimmicks at DBs. We've added Holden Myers to coach the O-line. Holden's a former player, did a great job for us. We've added Joey Delgado, a former player, to coach the defensive backs. And we've got a new coach in from Anna Maria, Chandler Zarnoda, who will coach the receivers. He's doing a pretty good job.
So looking forward, what is that next step that you want the program as a whole? Coming from last year, having the success of last year, but ending a bit on a sour taste. What is the next step for this program?
Well, for us, the next step is to go down to Caldwell and play a great game. Not looking anywhere past that. I think last year we were very talented, and we as a staff looked way beyond the first couple of games and found out that we weren't as good as we thought we were when we got to the end. But I think that if we can get through Caldwell, the schedule plays into our hand, where we could go into the last 3 games of the season, which are against Army, Navy, and Penn, in pretty good shape.
I mean, Caldwell being that first opponent and how the season, how that game with Caldwell went, do you think that's kind of motivation, or do you as a coach use that as motivation, or do you wipe the slate clean here on a new year?
I am using it as motivation because not only did we play our worst game, but we had more penalty yards and more personal fouls than we've ever had since I've been here. So that's the motivator right there. We have to go down there. We have to eliminate penalties. We have to eliminate personal fouls, and I believe we can play head-to-head with them. And we got to jump out to a lead is really what we need to do.
And then, Coach, looking at the season as a whole, what is the overall goal? Obviously, you said you don't want to look too far ahead, but what is the overall goal for this squad?
Well, I think the future is undetermined right now. We're very good on paper. We've got some real talent here right now. It's just finding the right places. We've got position battles that I don't think we're going to know until after our scrimmage, which we have on the 10th of September with Calumet University, right out here at Ben Orman. But we're not going to know who the 22 starters are until after that scrimmage at some positions. So it's a good problem to have, but again, we don't know at this point.
Hey, like you said, that sometimes can be a good problem if you have people who are fighting for those spots. And thank you so very much for taking the time and stopping by, and great luck on the season.
Thanks, Drew. Appreciate it.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere. And that's going to do it for this show, folks. To stay up to date on all things Mansfield Athletics, head over to GoMounties.com. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.